there is a personality disorder. They see like there is a combination. Substance abuse disorder and personality disorder coexist. This is like the theory. So they feel the way I understood the borderline. So it's called borderline personality. Have you heard about borderline personality? Borderline personality, psychiatrists couldn't agree. One section thought it was psychoid, one section called it neurotic, like meaning the nerves are activated versus the imagination is activated. So that's the way you can understand
Yeah.
that. So because they couldn't agree, the personality disorder, they categorized it as borderline
So
personality.
it's both, like a little bit.
So if I have to say it in a layman term, actually I had a very nice book. I'll bring it over next time. So think of it as the borderline personality has a problem processing emotion. That's the that's the bottom line, you know. So they cannot process emotion, but they have a huge trust issue. And it's very interesting because my husband's youngest um, sister had a febrile seizures when she was 6 years old. And so she developed cerebral palsy. So whole family dynamic went into taking care of her. So all he was like 11-year old and his sister is like 10 years maybe, and then the 6 year old.
Yeah.
Right? So that junction they overlooked him. And I don't know whether that created like a huge gap
Don't
in his
know.
brain. So he started drinking because he used to steal from his father's drinking cabinet and started drinking.
That's
So
how
11 years is when he started. And
that's
they
what
used,
I said. I used.
and then the father would pay him money to go get him cigarettes. So in addition, he has experimented with other stuff too. Like because he gets money, like
Yep.
father doesn't count.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
so like essentially it like got out of hand, I think. And because he didn't have good direction, and I think he didn't have processing the same way. So I mean, this is the way I understand him, but like maybe I'm not correct, but I'm going to come back to science later. So because he's one of my study subjects, like I studied last 24 20. Like I got married to him in '98. I met him in '97. 1 year before my marriage, I knew him. So it's like roughly 20 years, right? 20 years, let's say. But I made it a point to understand it because I find it very fascinating. Because when I school my teachers, see, so with the borderline personalities, so they don't have trust because they cannot trust their mother, they cannot trust their father. They don't know what is right and wrong, like 11-year-old brain, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is they will have in their community, whatever it is, community means like whatever gives you faith, right? They'll pick one person who has always been trustworthy to them. Okay, so think of it that way, like your own survival skills, reality show. You're running your own reality show, and whatever is that thing you carry, right? Survivor,
Yeah. The torch.
whatever it is. So that person who plays that part in you, like the one that brings you home or whatever it is, you need to survive. They will cue into their emotion, and if they are happy, they are they feel their world is okay. That person is not happy, their world is not okay. So my husband, I early on understood his daughter was his set emblem. So if she was okay, he will be okay. If she is distressed, he will activate and he'll become big argument with me. Very interesting. So I caught on early on. So the key to his heart is his daughter. And then she started getting activated by him. And so he lost that trust. Now he goes to his friends, and only one of the friends is his key. And if the key, and he actually interestingly invited me for a party, and he tells me for 15 years he hasn't invited me for a party. It's because 15 years ago when I was pregnant with my youngest one, he called the police on me and told me that I cannot come back home. And because he called first, he became the victim. I was the abuser. But he doesn't understand his part in it still. He still says, see, you did that and I had to do it. So he doesn't ever, it's like one way boundary. It's never, ever on his court. So because of that, right, he would use his friend's cue. So he never invited me for a party. And then finally, his friend invited couples. And then he said, I'm forced to invite you. And I said, why did you hire a person? He says, I was thinking about it, but he knows you. And so, like, then last week we had an argument. He was so relieved to know he doesn't need to take me because I took off my wedding ring. I said, hey, if this not going to work. But I said, I'm going to be engaged with you guys. So he says, oh, okay. So you're not invited for the party. So he is very relieved now.
Now he's all set. Now he's
Yes,
not stressed
because
out.
it was stressing him so much. He was like stressing for 2 months. But what, so to come back to science, right? So they have something called amygdala. Amygdala is a not a conscious brain, it's a subconscious, it's near the hypothalamus. So it's primitive brain the animals use. It's the intuition brain. Think of it that way. So with amygdala, the way it works is I'm very, very anxious. I'm very, very anxious. My spirit is restless. But that's the way I will process. And I say I need to work on it, right? But the people who have issues with that processing, and I feel restless, and somebody comes in, you made me restless. See, I was all set.
But what you
Yes.
they
So
always do this.
yes, because they think their world is all set except when somebody comes along. And then they associate that person to be the zone problem. And when they are not around, their problem goes away. And that's the way they process. So the problem is always with that one connection they can establish. The other thing with the amygdala is they have problem processing emotion. So they'll cue in with the other person. If the other person cries, they'll be very protective. Other person angry, they'll be like equal. So when you school your future and don't show emotion, they will always associate with anger. So he will always say, see, look at you, you're always miserable. So it's very interesting. I never get activated. He's my best test subject because I did a lot of study of it.
Sounds like it.
And because of that, I found it.
Some of the stuff you were talking about, like I've been
You can relate to it.
and I'm like, well, that's understandable. But that was when I was drinking.
See, the problem with
Since I
drinking.
started.
So I'm going to come back to it. So the problem with drinking has been that, like, remember, it's a mind hole you opened up, right? So now you're a big hole. So I have asked the patients too. So you have this outcome in your life, and you know this is what you want. So you have a starting point, you have a destination. So the middle part is a blackout. Okay, so you have no idea what happened there. And I'll ask my patients, include. I cannot ask my husband because he would never understand what I'm talking about because it overwhelms him whenever I talk because he cannot process. So I don't ask too many questions for me to. I keep it simple. What question? How question? Why question? What can? What made you? What was your intention? You did it because that makes it easier for me because I want to see how he processes. Sometimes he wouldn't answer, and then how do you think I can make it better? Why question is dangerous because that's when all the problems piles and I don't want to deal with it. So why question? I keep it like very very distant. But the way it happens is I'll ask my patient, uh, did you do that? And the answer always is, I am not capable of it, which means they don't know and they cannot answer for sure. But instead of saying, I don't know for sure, I have blacked out, that's humbling, right? Most of them not do it. They will, that peace spiritually is this peace they would not be able to recover because they need somebody to guide them, and that is the humiliating part. But humbleness is the only way in recovery to get past it. Most of them don't ask for help because they feel like they think they have done the work, and that's where spiritually we always ask for guru guidance. We always take a person, and we always say, because of you I'm here, and we lose our identity in spirituality. But in recovery, you never lose your identity, and that's what sabotages it. Because when you don't lose your identity and you keep anchoring to your own individual recovery, that's why, I think Western has struggled so much because culturally there's so much ownership in it anyway. And unfortunately, there is no no coping skills for that. So like when you make somebody accountable, it is overwhelming. But whereas, like, some people are so smart, they'll make very nice story to fit it. And when you tell the story a lot of time, it actually makes it easier. So you believe in your story. And when you believe in your story,
Believe your
it
own
becomes,
lies.
yes, it becomes your history.
I used to do it all. I just say,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, that's not good. Now you
One day at a time.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to process. Don't ask me
I
anything
shut
more.
it down.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Did you send it over to